Are you ready?
Yeah.
I just recognized that the clock in here is quite loud.
It's from the kitchen.
Oh, okay.
Corre que ainda dá tempo de participar do sorteio do Cambly, que vai dar 2 planos de 1 mês, 30 minutos por dia, 5 vezes na semana. É inglês todo dia da semana. Vai ser um plano de adulto e um plano de criança. Ou seja, 2 pessoas podem ganhar esse sorteio maravilhoso. Eu, se pudesse, estaria participando, mas eu não posso, né, minha gente? Então, vamos lá. Tô dando essa mamatinha pra vocês, que é maravilhosa. Ó, pra participar é o seguinte, só clicar nesse link que a gente botou nas show notes. O sorteio será no dia 28 agora de outubro de 2019, tá? Que eu não sei quando é que você vai estar escutando. Pra galera que tá em dia, é pra agora. Pra quem tá escutando e vai chegar um dia nesse episódio, já passou, hein? 2019 que foi. Bom, lembrando o seguinte, o que eu tenho que lembrar? Lembrando que se você quiser testar a plataforma, é só usar o nosso código, que é em inglês de micropodcast. E é muito fácil, é só ir lá no cambly.com ou no aplicativo do Cambly. Cambly é C-A-M de Maria, B de bola, L-Y, tá? E colocar o nosso código inglês de micropodcast. Professores nativos de língua inglesa 24 horas por dia, pelo computador ou aplicativo. Essas são as 3 coisas que eu acho mais interessantes. Uma coisa muito boa. Depois da sua aula, você recebe a aula toda gravada e pode rever, tá? Então é isso. Participem, testem, aproveitem. Now, on with the show.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Inglês no Rádio. My name is Foster Hodge, and I am your host, your co-host, along with
Alexia Souza. And yes, you are my co-host.
I am your co-host, your co-pilot, your co-partner, or just your partner. Alexia, how are you doing?
My co-partner. I don't know which.
A little bit redundant.
Yes. I'm fine. Thank you for asking. What about you?
I'm good. I'm a little bit nervous because I'm about to turn 30 years old.
Yes. Why are you nervous about it?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like you are supposed to be, it's a good time to be reflective, and that's what we're doing. We're reflecting.
Yes, we are. And most of people use...
So if you listen to the last episode, Alexia said most of people, and I corrected her. And the correct way to say this in English would be, you can take out prepositions.
Most of people. Most of people.
Make it the most simple.
Most people.
Most people. Most people. A maior parte. Yes. A maioria. Most people.
And most people use this kind of reflection taking the sabbatical year or time.
Okay. So you were saying that a lot of people, when they need to reflect, they take time off.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. So we have been talking about what to do before you turn 30, all of the things that you need to check off your list. And one of the things that was reappearing on a lot of different lists and websites was take time off. More specifically, take a sabbatical. So the word sabbatical originally comes from academics, and that is, for example, if people are writing a book or something like that, they have a year that they don't have to teach, and they have time off to concentrate on something that's a little bit different. They're not exactly working, and they have time off to focus on other parts of their life.
Yeah, but nowadays people use this just to take time off and not work at all and stay out of touch.
Yeah. So I think we can approach this in a couple of different ways. I'm not sure how you want to do this, but can I explain something quickly?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so in the world of internet business owners, people that work on the internet like us, yes, there is this idea that is kind of a 2.0 version of sabbaticals that is called mini retirements. What do you understand when I say that?
Well, it's when you really get out of your work and just have time for yourself and do whatever you want to do, like hobby time.
Yeah, hobby time is another way to say it. I don't think it sells as well. Mini retire. Hobby time. More or less, yeah, it's like a long vacation. So the idea is everyone in quote unquote normal society works really, really hard almost their entire life to reach retirement when they don't have to work anymore. And the idea of a mini retirement is if you're going to work more or less your entire adult life, you should probably experiment with this idea of not working before you reach that point. Because a lot of people, when they are old and they reach retirement, they don't have to work anymore. They don't know what to do.
It's the same thing when you are going to school, to university, right after high school, and there are a lot of people who take the year off before starting university to understand what you really want. And
precisely. In the U.S., we call this a gap year.
A gap year.
Yeah. So first, Alexia, before we dive into the idea of sabbaticals, mini retirements, gaps, whatever you want to call it, I think it's important to recognize that for a lot of people, this idea, like specifically, probably isn't possible. Like you can't just quit work for 3 months and then return. But there are versions and varieties of this idea that you can probably achieve.
Yeah, like what?
I'm not exactly sure how that would look in reality, but first, I want your opinion. What do you think about this idea of retirement in general, sabbaticals in general, and taking time off in general? Do you think it's a good thing? Do you think it's productive? Do you think it's kind of a waste of time? What's your position?
No, I think that this is speaking hypothetically, right?
Hypothetically?
Yes, hypothetically.
There's a TH. So say hypo.
Hypo.
And then you have the TH. Thetically.
Hypothetically.
So just say...
Hypothetically. Oh my God.
Just say the.
The.
Now say thetically.
But what?
Okay, so say the.
The.
Now say theta.
Theta.
Now say thetically.
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 Hypothetically.
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 Say
it in Portuguese.
Hipoteticamente.
Muito bem.
Viu?
Fala borboleta.
Butterfly.
Hypothetically.
In theory.
Peraí. Hypothetically.
Mm-hmm.
In theory.
A work in progress.
Okay, so we are talking about things in theory, right?
Right. Things that could potentially happen in the future. Yeah.
Yeah, so if I had the money to do it, I would for sure take a 6 months or a year off. That's for sure.
Okay, I think that's a perfect place to stop and reflect. If you had the money in a perfect world, you had 6 months and you have all the money, you don't have to worry about things, what would you do for that 6 months?
I would go back to school to study art in many ways, like learn more about the history of the world.
Art history, perhaps?
Yes, learn how to paint, learn how to draw, things like that. I would love to do that. And I would love to do that somewhere in Europe so I could travel around and understand more about the countries and how everything turned to be nowadays, maybe.
I think that's beautiful. And I think that's really the number one reason why I think sabbaticals or mini retirements or just taking some time off is so important. What would you do if money was not an issue? You said you would study art history.
Yeah.
We've never really even talked about that. And we've recorded 450 episodes. That's amazing.
Yes, I think it's a thing for me that it's a huge gap in my life because I'm really, really into it. But I never had someone besides my dad to explain to me, like Monet or Picasso, you know?
Yeah.
And I would love to study that.
Yeah. That's interesting that...
And not only that, when you go to churches and you see Raphael things.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's not very specific, but when you think about the idea of taking a break from work, the idea is not to take a break from life, but it is really to find out if you had all of the free time in the world, what would you do at that time?
I would go back to school and do that and make my creative brain part full and yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, that's amazing. So Alexia would study art history. Do you want to ask me what I would do?
Yes, I was ready to do that.
So ask me.
What would you do, Foster?
I think I would move to a different country that spoke a language that I did not already know, just so I could continue learning languages, learning more about the world, about different cultures, different peoples, because I love doing that. And I think I would focus more or less 100% on just understanding that culture, learning the language, and then some sort of physical activity that I have no experience with.
Yeah, it's not the same, but it's more or less the same as me.
Yeah, I think it's the same idea.
Yeah, we could do that together. We would study, we would understand the cultural situation of this part of the world and travel around. Yeah.
Yeah. So if that actually happened, I think that would mean we're talking hypothetically, but I think that means we would move to like Croatia for 3 months. You would go to a lot of museums, take classes. I would study a lot of language and learn some weird form of Croatian fighting and come back a monster.
Yes, I think more or less like this. Yeah.
Okay, so what do you think about this as advice for people in their 20s? Is this something that is it good advice? Is it somewhat achievable?
I think it is. I think that you have to have a plan. I didn't for many reasons that came during my 20s. But I got this opportunity when I went to England when I was 16 years old, and I didn't take it because you would have to ask my parents. One, you can't, but the other is reachable, so you can send him an email asking why.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember that I had the option of going back to Brazil, finishing high school, and go back to England and start at this university. I don't recall the name, but it was all about creativity. It was focused on IT because it would be the most important job in the world.
Right.
And we proved that, and it is nowadays.
Yes.
But focus completely on creativity. So,
and
if
you did not do that, why?
I don't know. It wasn't my call.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But for those who have this option or have this in mind, and you can make a plan for in 3 years or 5 years or even 10 years, do it.
Yeah.
Do it. Don't think twice. Do it. Will be the most amazing thing for you in your life. You won't be losing time. You'll be enriching yourself.
Yeah, exactly. You will leave this experience more enriched, more fulfilled, and more complete human being. I think you can hear it in both of our voices that it's not an easy thing to do. The reasons to continue your life as it is already going in one path, there's like 1,000 reasons, right? It's easy. You need the money. You don't want to leave your friends. The reasons to take some time off, that's a lot harder to justify. But if you can find a way to make that happen, do it.
Yeah, be selfish because your life and those are your plans. So do it. We are making ours right now. I mean, we open a business. We are doing our dreams come true. But this have nothing to do with like sabbatical situation.
Yeah.
But
I think most people listening to this would say, oh, Alexia and Foster, they're on a permanent sabbatical.
No, we are not.
But this is coming from two people that for most of society, we seem like selfish little assholes we're just chasing our passions and recording podcasts. But as two people that are kind of doing that, my advice is still take some time off and do something that is totally unrelated to what you think you want to do in life, and you'll find out a lot about who you are, who you want to be.
Yeah. So do it. Go ahead. Start planning. It's not too late. Maybe one day we'll do it as well. We are planning.
I have 1 week.
I have 3, so that's fine.
Okay, maybe Alexia is still in the game, but until then, you guys take it easy. As always,
Happy
keep up
Friday.
the good fight. Lose well. Is this Friday? Okay, happy Friday. We will see you guys soon.
Bye. Oi, pessoal, muito obrigada por ter escutado mais um episódio do Inglês no Microrádio. A gente fica muito, muito feliz quando vocês estão aqui conosco. E você que quer continuar recebendo novidades e recebendo recursos grátis, vai lá no nosso site e você vai encontrar tudo isso. Além disso, você vai saber quando que Sound School vai abrir para se tornar nosso aluno do melhor curso de inglês online que existe nesse mundão. Então é isso. Muito obrigada de novo por fazer parte da família Inglês no Microrádio e te espero no próximo episódio.